Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to I'm on Sports. I want to welcome you to the channel and this update that I'm putting up here. It's been quite a while since I've actually been back online and just been busy with the last couple of weeks, especially that a lot of holidays for us Muslim people happen to line up in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But nonetheless, I'm still doing what I got to do in order to get this transformation on the go and in order to get closer to my goal. Just like if you've been watching the last few episodes or have been following me this far, you'll know that I've been trekking along in order to get my weight back to where I wanted it come summer. So I just wanted to give this update a little bit about weight training, what's been happening on the diet, and all around what I've been doing in and out the gym. So if you watched some of the videos recently, you would have seen that I kept talking a lot about fasting. It happens to be that the religious holiday of Ramadan and Hajj period, which is Arafah and Dhul Hijjah, which are Islamic significant holidays that have come about in the last 60 days. And actually more than 60 days now when Ramadan started, I think more than 2 months. And so a lot of the practice has been to do a lot of fasting and kick drive the body into getting into a healthier state, allowing your body to detox and get rid of fat and liquid and all kinds of junk that stays within us after eating all of the processed food within our lives, obviously living here in the West. So I wanted to shoot this update and let you guys know how things have been. Again, I started a 1-week detox beginning of May, did my thing for like 2-3 weeks, got the groove with training and eating, and then all of a sudden, boom, we went into the Arafah season, which was just about 10 days before June 5th. So it was at the end of May that started again. And that allowed us to go back into the fasting mode, lose a little bit of weight, and then get ready to actually kick drive full-on training, a lot more serious with the weight training in the gym, and pumping up, obviously, the levels of protein that we're consuming. So at this point, you're asking yourself, maybe, what the heck are you at, man? What's going on? What is happening? So you've seen the video where I went from 252 pounds down to 238 pounds doing a 6-day detox. That detox basically kick drove my system into burning fat. It removed a lot of gut waste and a lot of gut fluid and junk that stays a lot and remains in our body after long periods of consuming processed food and essentially garbage food. So that drove my liver to get rid of my dependency on sugar, on a number of processed sugars, especially processed sugars and processed carbs, and puts your system in a state of wanting to metabolize a lot better. So your metabolism is definitely improved. Your way of digesting food improves, and your mood and energy and all of these benefits that happen once you starve your system out and fast. And that's what I was able to do in 6 days. Now, obviously, a lot of you were thinking, well, dude, you went from 252 to 238. That's definitely not all fat. Of course, that's not all fat. A lot of that, like I said, is fluid, but a good chunk of it is fat. Then when you come back out of that, there's a slight rebound that happens. If you've been following some of the pictures and stuff that I've been sharing, then you would have seen that obviously your weight bounces back to a more healthier level. So I think it started off with 252. I went down to 238 at the end of this 5-6 days. Then the next few days, the body was basically like, okay, I'm seeing food normal again now. So I'm going to start metabolizing a little bit differently to the carbs that you're putting in me. So at that point, we went back up to slightly higher 240s, so 246, 247. Then once things stabilized the week after, that came down to the bottom 240, which means that essentially when we did the fast, we lost about 5 to 6 pounds of pure fat, which is huge. Even if you say, okay, you went from 252 to 238, about 14 pounds. What now? How can we say how much that is of fat? How much of it was just fluid and other gut waste? Well, that's your math. The next week that you come out of the fast, once you stabilize your diet and eating the right amount of carbohydrates, which should be complex versus simple, you're eating regular fats, healthy fats, and you're eating the right levels of protein, Then that week after your detox, you're going to realize whatever weight you're sitting at, that's exactly what you can compare to what you've lost. So that's exactly what I did. Started at 252, went down to 238. A week later after the fast, I'm at like 245-ish. That's my weight. So as you can see, that's a considerable amount of drop, and it does huge for almost anybody. It'll give you like a shock sprint into your system to really motivate you and get things going. All right. So that's where I've been basically from the beginning of May till the end of May. Detox, lose weight, feel better, change the metabolism up, and get your body ready for a different way of eating and training and resting and essentially living a lifestyle. Then we started June. June started out with fasting. The end of May into the beginning of June was fasting. That fasting was done as of June 6th when Eid happened. And then since then, we're now on June 18th. Now we're back to normal, right? We're not observing any religious holidays. We're not observing anything special. And we're not inflicting, I want to use the word inflicting, a specific fasting regime. So essentially now I'm a free bird to train and eat the way I need to be. But obviously because I'm here on YouTube, trying to show you guys game and trying to trek towards, transforming my body, I could say I'm officially, alhamdulillah, on course, right? So let's talk about what happens after you're done fasting. What should you be feeling and how to track your weight now that you're in serious training. So one of the ways that you want to track your weight is quite simply a preference that you need to find out and determine for yourself. So obviously I've been doing this for years, but you can learn every time you watch somebody do something else or something similar. So essentially a lot of people weigh themselves every week. Now I've watched this other YouTuber where he basically takes his weight every day and then at the end of the week takes the average for that week. And that will basically give you a very fine indication of where your weight sits. And I like that style. So again, you're always learning. You never fully know everything. This is a constant thing. Fundamentally, you could be based on a number of, approaches and science, but there's a small little bit of learning that's always going to be continuous. Okay. So I got myself one of these, what do they call them? Something about a student calendar. They're very easy. You can get them at Staples, and the paper for that month is removable, and then you can rip it out once you go into the next month. So I've been using this to basically take note of my weight. Okay. So now the focus on this might be bad, but just to show you kind of where we went, in the beginning of the month, we started at, again, this is coming out of the fast, right? Fasting at the beginning of May, right up until the end. And at the end again, we're going back on fasting because of Arafah, the religious Dhul Hijjah period for Muslims. So I started that last week of fasting, that last week of fasting with 243.2 pounds. That's where my weight was. So you saw all of May with the detox. We finished it at 238 pounds. We bounced back to 244, got things settled. Obviously, the diet was kind of going up and down. I'll be honest, it wasn't the cleanest, but we were maintaining, eating okay, but making sure we're going to the gym and we're burning the calories. So that took us to the beginning of June, starting it at 243.2. We continued on that week. Again, these are the last 4 days of fasting. On the June 6th was Eid al-Adha for all of the Muslims. So that's where fasting finished, right? So from 243 right out to the end of the week, I closed out the week on June 5th at 238.5 pounds. That was the last day of fast. I got a picture coming up on the screen right now, as you can see. So what now? You know what's happening. It's Eid. It's celebrations. So tear, right? First tear of the day. Mutton and rice and everything. It's a Eid tear. What's happening the next day? Tear again. Tear. Tear and tear. 4 days of tearing. And sometimes this is difficult, or we're going to do a different video on how to manage, right? Holidays, how to manage visiting somebody, how to manage having people over in the midst of serious training. You can definitely do it a lot better than what I did in the 4 days, but it needs time and it needs a lot of discipline. But for those 4 days, oh my gosh, up and down. So we continued, but we were training again. We were making sure that even though we were tearing, we're going to the gym and we're burning the calories that we're eating. Okay. That continued on up until the 10th. Then we got back into serious eating for the remainder of the week, right? And then the last tear scheduled for me this last week was the Sunday because it was Father's Day. And my awesome wife felt like, actually, I will refute from finishing that comment for obvious reasons. Anywho, this was Father's Day. And all I can say is I was tearing with other fathers. And when I took my weight that morning, I was 244.4. Okay. 244.4 pounds. Then this week that we're currently in, we kicked back the diet right back again, immediately dropping our carbohydrate intake, upping the fat and upping the protein. So as of this morning, I'm back to 240.7 pounds. So you see, this is a great tool for you to keep track of your weight. Get a scale that's very accurate. Get yourself one of these and get yourself a marker and fill in. Even if you miss a day, that's fine. Get at least 4 or 5 readings a week. A week is made up of 7 days. Get at least 5. And this will always help you look at what you have done and what you have yet to come in terms of days in management. Okay. And one of the things I like about this calendar is it's got a lot of space for you to write down what perhaps you remember doing that day. That's why here I wrote last fast of Arafah, wrote Eid al-Adha. Here for Father's Day last Sunday, I wrote tear. So as you're writing your weight for that day, write down anything specific that you remember eating the day before or the day of. This way, when you look back at the weight, you'll be like, how did I go up and then down? And then I balanced out the day after. Write it down. It's going to help you track things. So that's where I'm at. As of this morning, I'm 240.7 pounds. Okay. Now, a lot of you might be like, well, that's a huge fluctuation from when you finished your detox, when you started out at 252 and finished at 238. You are right. It is up and down. But you have to understand that I have been seriously training between today right up until when I started my fast. So as you could think to yourself that my weight should be dropping a lot less, you're incorrect. Why? Because as you're developing and getting a lot more serious with your training, your body's ultimately potentially building muscle, which increases your muscle mass, and your fat is dropping. So your weight might seem like it's kind of staying in the middle and not moving much. But when you're looking in the mirror, you're like, I'm getting leaner, but I'm kind of the same on the scale. Well, that's been happening for me, and the numbers don't lie. As I go a month in, I finished my fast at 230 and 238. Again, my fast included a lot of water that was shedded and replaced. But if I can come back here about a month later and I'm at 240.7 from 252, that's 12 pounds that has been dropped, and I look considerably different. Now, like I said to you guys, I'm not the type to be posting pictures every day, naked in the bathroom looking in the mirror so you could see what's happening. But I did post a video of how I looked like at the end of the fast. And as if you could look right now through the video, small little indicators for those who can look in my face can determine that, okay, you are potentially getting leaner. I know I'm getting leaner. My body's filling up and the muscle memory from the years of serious training is really kicking in now. Okay? So that's huge for me, advantageous. A little bit confusing on the scale as my body's getting back to building more muscle while burning fat. But essentially, we're going to be looking to dropping at least 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week. And we're going to use this to keep track of it. So do the same. I'm going to start using this a lot more. I think I got 1 more month before I have to discard this thing. But I'm definitely grabbing another one because for anybody that's seriously training, I see this as a huge advantage for you to keep track of your weight and know how to plan your schedule ahead. All right. So that's basically where I'm at in terms of in terms of where my weight and my transformation is sitting. All the religious holidays are out of the way. We are now getting very serious. It's getting very hot outside. which is another push for us to stay active, because you can bike, you can walk a lot more, you can do things, not that the weather is a lot more welcoming. So I hope that you guys are following and doing the same thing and getting yourself in a position to be in a lot better shape this summer. Follow my Instagram that I've posted finally and starting to kind of put some content in it. Share with your friends. Please like and subscribe and support your boy. And I'll see you guys later on. Thank you.